Hello, my name is JT Tepley. I am with Elatec, and the purpose of this video today is to serve as a training video for all of our products. Now, if you haven't heard of us before or are unfamiliar with our products, I suggest watching our product overview video first, or perhaps some of the other videos to get a better idea. This video is meant for the people that maybe already have our devices. They're looking to know how to use them, how to make configuration changes, and so on. So that's the purpose of this video. First, I'm going to give you a very quick product overview again, just to make sure everyone is refreshed with the different names of our products, and then I'm going to get into the actual training part of the video. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first let me go over our different RFID readers again, just to make sure we're all on the same page. We have our TWN4 family, which is shown across the middle there, and they're designed to read either low frequency or high frequency, and they're broken up into different technology types. So if you have a MyFair card, then you need our TWN3 MyFair reader. If you have an HID prox card, then you need our TWN3 HID prox reader. Now, the latest reader from Elatec is the TWN4, and different from the TWN3, it's a dual frequency reader. It has both a low frequency, 125 kilohertz, and high frequency, 13.56 megahertz antennas integrated. And it also incorporates now NFC. It's fully NFC enabled. So it takes everything that we did from the TWN3s and combines it into one dual frequency reader, and that's the TWN4. We do have slightly different versions of the TWN4, so you need to know which version you need going forward. And we start off with our standard version of the TWN4, and that reader can read almost all technology types in the market, but it's important to note here, this does not include HID prox, and for HID I-class, this includes the UID only. So in areas such as Europe, where you see less of HID prox, usually the standard version is sufficient in order to support all of the different technologies in Europe. Then the next version up is the version P, and this takes everything from the standard version and then adds HID prox. So in the US, for example, where there is a lot of HID prox, this is the version of the reader that is our high runner there. And then the highest level we have is the version PI, and this takes everything from the version P and now adds for I-class, there's an additional identifier. It's called the physical access code, or the PAC, and this comes up on very rare occasions, but sometimes the project may call for reading this ID instead, in which case you would need the version PI. So as I said, it depends on where you are. In the US, version P is our high runner, whereas in Europe there's more the standard version of the TWN4, so you just need to identify which one you need going forward. And then we do have two different series. It's the TWN4 MyFair NFC and TWN4 Elatec NFC, and this is referring to the chipsets on board. Don't let the names fool you. That doesn't mean they can only read MyFair or Elatec. Again, this has to do with the capabilities as far as read and write. So in rare occasions, instead of just taking the UID from the card, you need to actually access sectors of memory of a MyFair card, for example. So if that's the case, if you need to read and write data from a MyFair card, then you need the TWN4 MyFair NFC. If you need to read and write data to a Elatec card, for example, you need the TWN4 Elatec NFC. But most of the time, this is not the case, and our most popular version is the TWN4 MyFair NFC. And you should know that the version PI only applies to TWN4 MyFair NFC. So I hope that makes sense. We get a lot of questions about the different versions of our TWN4. If it's still not clear, we have an overall supported transponders list, and I'll put this in the description below the video on where you can find this list. And this list very clearly breaks down all of the TWN3s as well, plus the slightly different versions of the TWN4, and shows you exactly what each reader can read. So there you can find out which one is the right one for you. Okay, so now I'm moving on to our next product, and that's the TWN4 Tech Tracer Kit. And for this kit is used to identify unknown cards in the field. So the first step usually for a new project is that the person on site takes the card from the customer and sends it away to a lab to get analyzed. This could take, we've been told, as much as 3 to 4 weeks. Whereas if you simply have this kit on the customer site, you just scan the customer card and you can see some of the output example down in the bottom right, and it tells you what type of card it is, what type of bit length, and the UID itself. So you know exactly what type of card you need for your project, and this is another product we've gotten a lot of good response from, and that's the TWN4 Tech Tracer Kit. Okay, now moving on to our TCP converters. These devices are used to connect older printers, older MFPs, or single function printers, whereas there's not enough USB ports on the printer, or perhaps the printer has no built-in user interface. So normally you're not able to connect an RFID reader directly. Whereas if you use a TCP converter, you can now bring those printers on into the total secure printing application. And it works. You take the TCP converter, plug it into the network, or so it has access to the print management software, plug in your RFID reader, and then it connects also to the printer. So when the user sends a print job, it gets held up at the TCP converter and waits for the user to authenticate themselves before the print job is released. Here we do have two different versions of the TCP converter, the original TCP converter and the TCP converter 2. The big difference here is that the TCP converter 1 is a network switch, whereas the TCP converter 2 serves as a network router. So the TCP converter 1, when it connects to a printer, will take up 2 IP addresses. The TCP converter 2, when it connects to a printer, will still only take up 1 IP address. So if you're in an area where the IT company charges based on the number of IP addresses, you should definitely go with the TCP converter 2, because using its internal router, it's still only going to take up 1 IP address. The other thing about the TCP converter 2 is it has an additional USB port on the front, where you can connect an additional RFID reader. You can connect maybe a magstripe reader or a fingerprint reader, for example. And also sometimes we see external displays also can be connected at the same time with another RFID reader. So those are the main two differences between the TCP converter 2 and the TCP converter 1. And next, I just wanted to give you a look coming up at our new product this year. And it's going to be our TWN4 Smart Card NFC Reader. And it takes everything that we saw from the TWN4 as far as RFID capabilities and NFC, and now it adds a third dimension, which is the ability to read smart cards. So you can see the housing is a little bit wider, and there's a slot on the front to accommodate a smart card. And this is used for those applications where you want the users to still be able to badge as normal to release print jobs, but then for those extremely high sensitive documents, you want them to authenticate themselves with a more secure smart card instead. And with the TWN4 Smart Card NFC Reader, it gives that capability. And this is a new product that's coming out later this year. Okay, so now I'm going to switch the camera, and we're going to take an in-depth look at the TWN4 and how to configure it using the App Blaster. Also on our YouTube channel, we have already the training for the other products already up on the channel, so I'm going to use this moment as a guide to show you how to find what you're looking for. So this video going forward is only going to show the TWN4, but if you're looking for information, for example, how to configure a TWN3, and you can see the links now, we have a video on specifically the TWN3 reader. If you're looking for more information on the converters, we have 2 videos, one on the TCP converter, the first one, and then another one on the TCP converter 2. And then we have also a video dedicated completely to the Tech Tracer kit. So if you're looking for more information on those products, click on those links. Otherwise, going forward now, we're going to take a look at just the TWN4 and the configuration tool called the App Blaster. Okay, now you can see that I've switched the camera and it's showing my TWN4. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how the reader operates in Tech Tracer mode. And it's already set up that way, and you can see my green light is on. So I'm going to open up my notepad file here. And you can see I have a bunch of different cards here, some of them labeled and some of them are not. But you can see it doesn't matter. As soon as I start scanning, it's going to tell me what type of card I have, the UID bit length and the UID itself. So I'll just scan through this stack of cards. These are all first HID prox cards, and you can see the different UID possibilities within HID cards, and it can read all the different types. This is a I-class card, and you see because this is a PI reader, it also picks up the physical access code back here as well as the UID in hexadecimal form. This is a dual frequency card from HID, and it has both an HID prox and HID I-class transponder in one, and it'll read both at the same time like that. Next we have a MyFair card for the Allianz Arena here in Munich. Scan that. That one's an ISO 14438 card. I believe this playing card is MyFair. And there's also different types of MyFairs. You can see that's an ultralight. This one's a Desfire. This is a Legic 15693 card. Anyway, you get the idea. Doesn't matter what type of card it is, just simply scan it and it'll tell you not only the card type but the UID bit length and the UID itself. So if you take this with you to your customer site, just scan his card right away, his or her card right away, and it'll immediately tell you the card so you can move on to the next step of your project, and that's our TWN4 in tech tracer mode. Okay, so now we're going to move on to show you how to actually reconfigure the TWN4, and to do so we're going to use the development pack, which looks like this, and you can see this tool right here called the App Blaster is the configuration tool. The director tool is a tool that's used to send commands to the reader. We have built-in functions for this reader that you can use to read and write data to cards, for example, control the LED or the beep of the reader, and so on. If you want more information on how to use the director tool, you can click on this link that's on the screen now, and that'll give you a more in-depth look about the director. But for this video, we're going to stick strictly to the configuration tool, and that's the App Blaster. So let me go ahead and open that up. So the first page looks like this. Under my project template, I'm going to set my project template to be keyboard standard because I'm using a keyboard emulation communication, and then I'm going to start a project which can be configured with the App Blaster. I just click Start New Project. So here you can see all the low frequency tags and all the high frequency tags that can be selected. Now, although the TWN4 can read nearly all technology types in the market, we strongly recommend reducing the number of technologies you need when it comes time to your final application. Having over 50 different technologies enabled on the TWN4 can affect performance, whether it be detection speed or identification distance. So like I said, we recommend reducing that number down to ensure the best performance of the reader. You can still set it to read 5 or 10 or 20, as many transponders that you want. It's just when it's looking for over 50 is the performance a little bit affected. Now, the purpose of the App Blaster is so that you can make configuration changes quickly on site if you have a reader you're testing for a customer project. Also, if you have small quantities in stock and you're only reprogramming 5 or 10 readers or so, you can do it very quickly with the App Blaster. Don't think if you have a very large order that you're going to have to reprogram every reader on your own. No, just send us, after you know what custom firmware you would like and you've made it with the App Blaster, you can send it to us, or our engineers can make it for you, and then we'll program the readers accordingly before they're sent out to you. And that's for large orders. We do that service for free. But like I said, the App Blaster should be used if you're testing a reader or if you're just reprogramming small quantities. Okay, so getting back here, I'm going to select the different low frequency tags I want. Let's just do HID prox. Maybe I also want I-class, and then my last one will be Felica. And I just click blast. So now it's taking those 3 tags and turning them on, and then it's going to ignore the rest. So let me get my notepad file back up, and the reader just beeped, so we're ready to go. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to scan the same HID prox card again, and now you'll see when I scan it, it's only going to show me this UID, because now I know what cards I'm working with. I don't need this information anymore because I know what I'm working with. So it's only going to give me the information I'm really interested in, and that's the card ID. So I set it to read HID prox, Felica, and HID I-class. So I have my stack of cards here. This one is a Felica. That one will still read. I'm trying to find my iClass card here. Here it is. So my iClass will still scan. But now, for example, if I try this Next Watch card, doesn't work. If I try this Legit card, that won't work also. Here's a My Fair Playing card we tried before, that won't work. You can see this is a IO proc, so it's ignoring everything that I didn't set it to, and it will only read HID procs, iClass, or Felica. Okay, now getting back specifically to this HID procs card that I scanned, you can see the reader gave me the UID in hexadecimal form. Now sometimes that may not be the format that we're looking for a certain project. For example, for these HID procs cards, this is the one that I just scanned, you can see there's this 5-digit number on the front, and a lot of times people want this number instead because it's more representative and you can actually see it on the card. So sticking with HID procs cards, we know some standard configurations broken down on this table on how to achieve the number on the front of the card. So this is a 26-bit card, as my tech tracer kit showed me, and it's trying to read the card ID. So I need to start on the start bit 9 and read to the number of bits 16. So now let me go back to my App Blaster. So now let's only deal with HID procs, 26 bits. This is an option for only iClass, whether you want to read the UID or the pack, so it doesn't apply here. You can reverse the bit and byte order. I'm not going to do that for this example. And then for output bits, I'm going to select some bits, and I'm going to go to bit 9 as it told me in the table, number of bits 16. It should be a decimal format. You can also change it to binary here if you want. And then the number of bits, the number of digits on the card is 5, and I just click blast. So now it's taking all my changes there, and again just takes about 5 seconds, and it'll beep when it's finished. So we're ready to go. So now I'm going to scan the same card, and I should now get 11907, and I do. So you can see that's a quick way to make changes if you need to manipulate the output you get from the card. Now I'm going to show you how to load a custom script file onto the reader, and this could be one that you wrote yourself or one that we provided for you. So if I go up here to my Manage Project tab, and now this time I'm going to create a project based on a given source code, and I click Start New Project. So now I'm going to find a app, as we call it, or a source code that I can put on my reader. So I find my development pack, and this time I have to be in the apps folder of the development pack. Now you can see here, these are our standard scripts, so I don't really have a custom one ready yet. So I will go ahead and write one now. So I'm going to open up my standard script here. This is the one that's just returning the UID in hexadecimal form, and I'm going to make just a simple change to show you what I'm talking about. So this is what our keyboard standard mode script file looks like, and I'm just going to scroll down and make one small change just for demonstration purposes. So let's say for whatever reason, before I scan a card, I want it to say Elatec before I scan that card. So I'm just going to write one line of code here. And now I am finished with my custom script. And now I'm going to save it. And I'm going to put it in my apps folder. And let's just call it Elatec again. And it's got to be a .c file. I just click enter. So there's my custom app. And again, only that one small change just to show you what I mean. So here, I'm going to select the source. And again, I got to find the apps folder. And now you can see that custom app I just made is right here. So I double click and click blast. So now it's taking that script and loading it on the reader. And let me open up again my App Blaster, the notepad file. And so I'm going to scan again that same procs card, and last time I got this UID here, but hopefully now if I did it right, it should say Elatec before the UID. I scan my card, and it does. So you can see there that was just for demonstration purposes, but I made a change within a script file, and I was able to easily load it onto my reader using the App Blaster tool. So now let's say I want to save what I did here as a project and use it for a different reader. I would go here to this last part, create production image, And here you can enter an acronym for the program. Here's a description. I'll leave it as Elatec test. Here you can change the version number if you want, and then I just click create image, and it's compiling everything we did back here, whether we checked on and off technologies, we loaded a script file, we set it to decimal or binary, for example, we reversed the bit and byte orders, whatever changes you made back here, it'll compile all of it into one firmware image. So now if I go back up to the top here, Program Apps and Firmware Images, using this tab, I now select my image, find my development pack again, and now any custom projects that I made, any custom firmware files, will be compiled into this projects folder. So I just double click, and here's the one that I just made. And I would just double click and click Program Image to reprogram it. This is also how you put it back into TechTracer mode. Say now you're moving on to a new project and you need to again identify an unknown card. I would just go back up to select image, this time my firmware folder, and here's our list of standard firmware images. For example, the popular ones are keyboard standard, which is just going to return the UID itself in keyboard emulation mode, and then this one here is the actual TechTracer, and you can see right there it says tracer. So to put it back to TechTracer mode where it's going to identify a card, I would just double click this one and then click Program Image, and now it's putting my reader back into TechTracer mode. Okay, that's about it for this video. If you're looking for more information or any documents on any of the products that I mentioned in this video, just look down in the description below, and there will be links down there showing you how to find whatever information you're looking for the different products. Looking at this slide, if you have any sales or customer support needs, please be sure to send an email to either the first or second address you see there, depending on where you are in the world. The third email down is our technical support team. Just send them an email if you're having any technical issues. If you have any technical questions, and they're very responsive, they'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you need the TWN4 Dev Pack, send support an email and they'll send it to you right away. Once again, with Elatec, I'm JT Tepley. Thanks for watching.